guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for, what is it? October 16th? Yeah, 2022. So, it is a morning. Anyway, for Sunday, I am, not doing a whole lot today because I have to go out and do yard work with my brother to do the leaves again, which is not fun. Anyway, so, but other than that, I have a few errands today and then should take it easy for the rest of the day if I can still move. We'll see what happens. Yesterday was a unexpected trip to my parents' house. Technology issues. They did buy a new TV, so they need my brother down there, and I got talked into going for other reasons. So that was kind of a lot of yesterday, but that's kind of typical of how that goes. But really overall this week was really quiet. Work was really quiet. I read a lot this week. So, I mean, for me, I read quite a bit. So, let's just jump in because I don't have really anything else going on right now. So, let's talk about the books I finished, the ones I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the next week. So, I did finish 3 things, which I'm pretty happy about. I mean, again, I usually do, but one of them is a pretty big book for me, so that was pretty awesome. So the first book I finished on Monday was Always Practice Save Hex by Juliet Cross. This is book 4 in the Stay a Spell series. So I'm caught up on this series. I'm very excited to be there. The next book is supposed to come out on the 31st, I think, on Kindle, so I'm probably going to buy that. I haven't pre-ordered yet, but I should. I probably will here. I just didn't think of that until just now. Anyway, but the point is it's coming out, so I'll probably read it in early November or in November at some point, probably. It just depends on how things are going in November. But this one follows one of the sisters that we really don't know as much about from the other books. For some reason, I felt like I didn't know her all that much. Livy is kind of like a dark horse, kind of like I wasn't sure how this book would go. And I really liked her love interest, Gareth, and because she is in a family of 6 witches and sisters who live in New Orleans, and Gareth is what's called a Grimm, and it's kind of a different kind of supernatural than the Grim Reaper. It's like a different kind. Anyway, point is that it was kind of cool to learn more about him and his powers and stuff, and they're both in a competition to win money for charity kind of thing. And so they were put on a team together. So this is them having to work together, you know, kind of enemies to lovers kind of thing. But this one was one of those where they didn't really know each other as enemies. They just knew they were competitions. And so they just had a reaction to each other. But of course it was probably, you know, just them being attracted to one another and also being in competition. I really enjoyed this overall. I think there was one point where I was a little upset, which is why I docked it a star, because it was, a choice was made that I did not agree with. Something happened and the character decides to wait to tell anybody about it except for the one who also saw it. And I'm like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? Oh, my cats, sorry. I get in some way why they did it, but I also did not agree with it. So it was kind of hard for me to get past that to make this a great book, but it was fun. I think it's still good in the series. It still had, cameos from the other characters. There are some really fun things in here too. I did know where this plot was going. I think it was set up pretty quickly, what was gonna happen kind of near the end. But I still liked the journey of the love story in here. So I think it's still a good book. I just didn't agree with one thing, but I mean, that happens in a lot of things. So I overall really enjoyed it. I'm glad I'm up to date now on another series, which is cool. So now I'm just waiting for the next book. And then after I read that, I'll have to wait like until next year for another book. Darn it. Oh well, but I'm really enjoying that. So if you like paranormal romance, I think that's a good one. I've enjoyed it. It's very light and fluffy mostly. And then I looked at my huge stack of books that I had here as possibilities. And I just, for some reason, was so drawn to Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. And I've been staring at this for months after I bought it. I had it on Kindle a long time ago, and I looked at it and it was like a weird formatting, and I was like, oh, this isn't going to work for me. So I bought the physical, I don't know if I bought it at the end of last year or this year some point. And it's been sitting on my shelf just staring at me because it's gigantic and I can see it across the room from where I put it. So this, though, was fantastic. I'm so glad I finally picked this up. So in this story, it's a multiple timelines of different things, but we're following mostly women having to deal with this Brookhants, which is a property in Rhode Island where there was a school in the early 1900s. And when some bad things happened to some of the students on campus, some deaths, it kind of spirals out of why that happened and how it affects the school, the people who run it, and also, you know, the students that go there. And then it also is the subject of a movie being made. And then the women who are, one of them who is the writer of the book that the movie's being based off of, because it is like a nonfiction. So she was telling, you know, the story of how she was told it and all her information. And then the other women are the actors in it. And then we get, you know, other production people who are in the movie, and then their time on set. And but you're going back and forth between the old timeline, the new one, and different things that happened in some of the characters' past. We get some of the past stories. So this kind of goes a little bit all over the place. I mean, we even get a couple scenes from the Chicago World Fair in 1893. So it's like, you get like these little glimpses of things. And I thought it was really cool the way it was done. This is definitely one of those books that you just need to take your time with it. I read this really fast, but I also marked things up because I kept going, okay, that's going to be a hint to something else. And it usually was. It was like, that was a cool detail. I'm sure that's coming back. This reminded me a lot in kind of very odd ways of like the House of Leaves and by Mark Danielowski, and what was the other book? Is a historian kind of like this, and Dr. Strange and Mr. Norrell kind of vibes, like as in having the footnotes and and the footnotes. This is one of those ones where it has the kind of like the narrator. You're never sure what they're gonna say, and they were kind of snarky sometimes, and they would say, well, yeah, they said something, and they go, yeah, that was a lie, or that was something, you know. They would tell us more details about the characters and this history from what they know. But you know, it was an interesting narrating style. I did enjoy this. I mean, I was captivated from the first couple chapters, and it kind of and it also has this thing with this book that's that young women at that time were reading that was very scandalous, but very popular. So it was just, there were so many things in here, and I'm not explaining this maybe as well as I could. But it was an experience. And again, it took me a little over 3 days. And for us, 600, I think it's 617 pages. That's pretty good for me to read that much. I just was like, I was reading this more than doing pretty much anything else. And I don't, it was so hard to explain. I was just so sucked in. There are some spots that maybe are a little slower than others. I think you're always going to have that when you have so many multiple perspectives and things that you that people you're following, and you don't always like what they're doing or what they're saying. There was a part probably about a third of the way through that I was really upset at one of the characters, and it really took me almost, you know, another third of the book for me to like that character again, because she was such a bitch. Sorry, but she was. I was so mad at her just because I'm like, why are you like that? And then I got over it, but it took a really long time. And luckily there was a lot of other stories going on that I didn't have to be with her for most of that third of that book, for the middle third. And it was just like, it was one of those things where I just, you know, I got invested. I think that's it. This book was compelling. I just had to read it every night. When I came home from work, I mean, this is what I did. I just read and read. I didn't do much else. This was just so interesting. And I didn't expect to fall into it so deeply and to enjoy it so well. There are issues, I think, in the end. I think not everything is wrapped up. I mean, I don't want it to be wrapped up, but not everything's explained. So there are a few loose ends. There's a few threads that I felt that she didn't fully follow through that she could have. But it was such an experience that I couldn't do anything but give this 5 stars. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite books this year. It was just so much fun. And I just didn't know where it was going to go. And I didn't know how things would go around. And some of them were such surprises to me. So, I mean, there's some really good things in the end. I just meant there's a few little I think, little leaps or a little, you know, loose ends. But I think that's typical of a really big book that's being really super ambitious. I think it's one of those books where people they're just super ambitious. And I think she went for it. And I think she did a really good job overall. So I really, I don't know if this book is for everyone. I think it really is. It has to find its audience. I know a lot of people have read it and enjoyed it. There was just so much in here I just loved overall, and the characters and how the things went and how creepy it was in certain places. Because again, it's kind of ghostly and there's things going on. You're not sure why or if it really is happening or not. And it's that question mark of what's going on. And it's such an interesting, way she put it together. And I think that's why it reminds me of House of Leaves, and just the way that it was kind of structured. I mean, it doesn't have all the different fonts and things like that. I mean, there are different things in here, and there are really, the pictures here done by Sarah Lotman, or Latman, I'm not sure, but she has, let's see if I probably can't find one. There's little pictures, and there's some really nice big black and white ones. It's kind of hard to tell. That's supposed to be a fountain in front of the school. But they're really cool. There's a map. I would say this is, as I said, this I really enjoyed. As I said, I can't recommend this to everybody. I think if you want one of those history books that has a front timeline, or, you know, a present timeline and a past, and they just intermix, and you don't know where it's going for most of the book. You don't know how it's all going to connect up. And there's just so many secrets, and there's a lot of things going on that I didn't expect that popped up later. I thought this was just really well done, and it is very creepy in certain parts. So I definitely enjoyed it for this time of year. I think it was really great. So as I said, I have to go back and look at my list, but I am pretty sure this is one of my top books of this year. I don't know if it's the top book, but right now it was fantastic and a great reading experience. I really, really enjoyed that, and I read that so much. And just to show all the tabs. So see, I did tab a lot. For me, I don't tab that much. So that was pretty cool. And then the last book I read pretty quickly after that, I just needed something pretty mindless. So I picked up Monster Erotica. So this is A Lady of Rookgrave Manor by Catherine Moon. And this is the first book in the Tempting Monsters series. So I picked this up this summer. I think I bought like a lot of self-pub books that were fantasy romance. And I thought, you know, so I had quite a few of them still to read. But this one, I don't know if I saw somebody talk about this last week. And I just was like, oh, you know, I should read that. Because I had it. And so I did. And this was not actually what I expected. So we're following, and her name went right ahead. Why would I forget her name? It's Esther. So she is a maid in London, and she's, you know, her station in life, that's what she can do and stuff. And she is a very highly sexual person, and that gets her in trouble quite a bit with where she works. But her employers, who she's done well for the last couple of years with, have gone on hard times, and so she is losing her position. So she doesn't know what she's going to be doing. And the Dr. Underwood, who used to come and help the lady of the manor at the house where she worked with her hysteria. So vibrating. Anyway, so he would help her, and she kind of peeked in on it. And so he knew that she was kind of, you know, very open to stuff. So he invites her to his house and kind of offers her a position at this establishment in the country called Rookgrave Manor, that she could have a lot of fun with her clients. Anyway, so again, this is very much erotica. I'm not gonna lie, it's like on page, very explicit. I don't know if I've read a book that had this many sex scenes in this short a time. And I've read some here and there, all over, you know, so all different kinds. This one's definitely, but this one again has the monster element, because the doctor has kind of a second persona. She meets a vampire, and she meets some other monsters when she goes to the manor. And then it's her gathering her men, kind of thing and who her clients are. But then there's an overarching bigger story of a kind of, well, an immortal type being who doesn't like these establishments that help out the monsters that to have romantic relationships, because he wants to control them all. So I think the overarching, I think it's a trilogy. I don't know. There's 3 books at least. Their 3rd book is scheduled for next year. The 2nd book is already out. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up. I think I can read it on Kindle Unlimited, so I might read it that way. I don't know if I like this enough to continue. I think this is definitely, as I said, very much it's just, if you want sexy times, this is the book for you. This is over, like, all different kinds. But I think it was really well written. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying it's a lot. And it's not going to be for everybody. I just think it was fun. And I just needed something light after reading Plain Bad Heroines. I just wanted something that I didn't have to think as much as I did in that book as I was reading it and trying to catch clues. And so this one was much light, maybe a little more lighter than I expected in plot, but oh well, that's kind of what I expected, but maybe not as much. Anyway, so those are the books I've finished. I'm currently reading, right now, I am reading Daughters of the Lake by Wendy Webb. I did pick up another one of these ones. I picked her up. So I'd read a book of hers many years ago called The Vanishing. I don't recall it. I remember enjoying it, but I didn't love it. Like, I got it from the library, so I never had a copy or anything. And then I picked up The Haunting of Bryn Wilder. I bought it, last year or the year before when it came out. Like, I pre-ordered it because I saw something on Amazon or Goodreads and it sounded interesting. And I'm glad I did. I did finally read it in August. And so I bought several other Wendy Webbs because this is one of those kind of ghostly mystery kind of things that with romance, but they're kind of different. She writes it very differently, as in it's very much the world between, the spiritual world and the real world are so really close and connected. It's very a different way of writing a story. I think she just has an odd style. And so I have several of her books and I did want to get to one. So I decided to pick this one up, even though this wasn't in my initial stack of spooky reads to pick up. But it was on my TBR bookshelf out by my couch. So I've been staring at it going, I should read that. I should read one of them. So this one follows Kate. That's right. And Kate, and actually this is the book that comes. So it's not technically a series, I don't think, but The Haunting of Bryn Wilder came after that. And so I met some of the characters that are in here. So it's kind of fun because now I'm getting to read the story that I didn't know about when I read The Haunting of Bryn Wilder. So I read them out of order because that's what I had. Anyway, so this one is following Kate, and she is in the process of going through a nasty divorce. Her husband cheated on her, and she has retreated to her parents' house on the lake, or on Lake Superior in Minnesota. And so she is trying to decide what she's going to do. She also quit her job because they worked at the same newspaper, and she's not sure what she's going to do. So she, one morning when she's at her parents' house, her dad is down on the beach and he discovers a dead woman in the lake. And when she comes down, when he's in the process of, the cops have just showed up, she kind of panics and freaks out, but she also they discover that the woman was holding a dead baby. So it's this very weird, why is this woman, how's the woman in the lake come and holding a child that they're both dead, but she kind of freaks out so much that the cops are kind of suspicious. But it turns out she's been having dreams about this woman living in her, every night. So she knows the woman that way, but she doesn't know who she is or from what time period or whatever. So there's kind of this, as I said, there's a past timeline talking about this woman, and her growing up and her circumstances of how she is connected to the lake. So as I said, so Kate is under suspicion, even though technically she didn't have anything to do with the body, but where does the body come from? Who is this? Because nobody's missing who has, that. And, but the timeline is kind of from far back in the past. So anyway, so it's been interesting so far. I'm not going to say these are the best things ever. I just enjoy the difference in the writing of the speculative stuff that she does. So I said, so far enjoying that. I'm about 110 pages in, about 300. So I don't know if I'll finish that today. I'm going to try. We'll see how I feel. I am still doing poems for Emily Bronte for Victober. The night is darkening around me, except I have skipped since I started Plain Bad Heroines. So I'm about 5 poems behind. I will pick this up again today and try to catch up. It was easier when I was doing one a day, but then I got kind of sucked into Plain Bad Heroines, and I didn't want to stop to do anything, even though it had only taken me a minute or two to read one of the poems. I just didn't. So I will catch up today so that I will continue my poetry reading for Victober. And then this week, I'm hoping to get back to Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. I don't know what it is about this book that I get to the same spot every time, and then I just stop listening or stop reading. So I'm only 60 pages in. I don't know why. I feel like one of the characters, John Barton, is doing something that I feel like is going to hurt him later. And I guess it just hurts me. He's being really good and kind, but it's just, I'm like worried for him, I guess, and his family. But we're following Mary Barton and John Barton in Manchester during some hard industrial times, and them dealing with day-to-day life. And, you know, as she's growing up into a young woman. And I'm sure there's going to be romantic things going on later. But right now, it's just, as I said, it's just getting into it. I don't know why. So this week, I'm hoping... I really want to get through this week so that next week I can start the Pickwick Papers to start the mega Dickens along that Katie at Books and Things is doing. So, but I need to get through Mary Barton because this is one of the Gaskells I have not read, and I keep trying and I haven't finished. And then I want to continue on with her stuff so I can get to Wives and Daughters, but I need to finish this. So anyway, this week I'm hoping to read some audiobooks. I just didn't this last week. I mean, again, I was so into Plain Bad Heroines, I didn't even think about reading an audiobook. I was just so, like, every minute that I didn't have to work, I was reading. So anyway, so I'm hoping Mary Barton I will get back to. And then what I think I'm going to read after Daughters of the Lake, my buddy read this month, we're starting on Monday, is Clean Sweep by Ilona Anders. I'm reading with Tia and all the books. We've been reading a lot of Ilona Anders last year and this year. We are now starting a new series with the Innkeeper's Chronicles. So it's not very long. So I'm excited to get to that. She actually got this for my birthday, so I'm excited to read that. So we'll be reading this for the first 3 days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, to read this first of the series. I think there are 4 out, and the 5th one is coming out really soon. Or there's 3 out and the 4th one's coming out. I don't remember which way it goes. It's either 4 or 5 books are out right now. I don't think it's a completed series. I think they just finished whatever the last book is, or the current book they just finished writing. So we'll see what happens. We're not there yet. So if we like this, hopefully we'll continue to the next book next month, but we'll see. But I want to read this. This is paranormal urban fantasy. I think this is a woman who runs a Victorian bed and breakfast, but I don't know if it's like aliens or some kind of supernatural people come to stay there and then things go probably wrong. I have not let myself read too much about it. I don't want to know. I want to go into it pretty blind. I just know that a lot of people like this series, and I've been wanting to read this for a while. It's their self-published series. So we're going to read that, Tia and I, and I'm excited. And then hopefully after I finish Daughters of the Lake, I'm hoping to start Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson. I need to get this done so I can read Bands of Morning, so I will be ready for The Lost Metal, which comes out in the middle of November. Again, I'm very high on the holds list at the library, so I need to be done with the 2 books in the middle of the Mistborn era too. So this is book 2, following Wax and Wayne, and again, there's probably going to be another mystery. It's kind of Western, urban fantasy, but with some epic fantasy magic stuff in it. I really enjoy this. The first book, Alloy of Law, wasn't perfect, but I really enjoyed getting into the world and meeting the characters. it was just a different tone than I was expecting, having read the Mistborn era so long ago, or era 1, I mean. But I want to get to this, and I hear this is a really good book. A lot of people like this one a lot. So I am hoping to start that this week. If I don't start it after Daughters of the Lake, I'm hoping to start it by the weekend, because I want to be able to make sure I have, I want to get this done before the middle of next week. I would like to be done by it, but we'll see. But my problem is that I got 2 Katie Robert books in the mail. So I got the next book in the Deal with a Demon, The Kraken Sacrifice, by her. So the first one was the Dragon's Bride, which I read earlier this year. So I got the discreet covers. I don't know why. I just like them. I don't know. So I got those. So I have that to read. I also had it on ebook, but these came out, so I bought that. And then I also got another copy of the Demon's Bargain by Katie Robert, which is in those hardbacks that I bought. This is the paperback to it, but I joined her Patreon. So if you join to a certain level, you get books sent to you. And so I got this book. So it's pretty cool. So even though I wasn't planning to buy this one, I got it. Anyway, it's kind of cool, kind of shiny. Anyway, so I can't read this one. I don't know if I have to read which I'm supposed to read first. I'll have to find out but they're both in the Deal with the Demon series, so I'm just not sure which one I'm supposed to read first. But I will probably read this. I might reread The Dragon's Bride, but I might just skim it just to remember how it ended. I can't remember. Again, that was earlier in the year. I don't remember. But anyway, so I might read those. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, this is Cooper, and Truman's out making noises in the other room. That's kind of it. The only things I get to mark on my board is I'm going to put down continue series for Always Practice Safe Hex, because the series is not over and another book is coming out really soon, so it's not a finish. Plain Bad Heroines, I get to mark a big book, which is so unusual for me, I know, but it worked out well. And then the other book I don't get to mark it for anything. I mean, I could technically mark it for historical fiction, but it was pretty much very sexy times paranormal. So I'm just gonna let that go. But really, but it's the start of a series. I may not continue. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence about that one. But I started a series. So unfortunately, I've started another series. Oh well, that's how that goes. So there's not too much on the board yet because it's still pretty early, but we're working on it. We're doing well. So anyway, that is it. Cooper is still very cute. Anyway, hopefully I will get through Mary Barton. I just want to get through Mary Barton. I don't know what my hang up with it is. I think I'll be fine once I get deeper into it, but for some reason at 60 pages, I lose it, and I just can't get myself to get through it. And I really want to get through that. That was one of my high priorities for Victober, Beyond the Professor. That was number 1. But this is the other one I really wanted to get done. So we'll see how it goes. So I think that's it. We'll see. I might read these. I might read other books. I still have a whole stack on the couch next to me, as well as in here, of books I would like to read in the next couple weeks. We'll see how many more I can get done. I'm very pleased with how this week went, especially with Plain Bad Heroines. I'm just ecstatic about that book. That book is just fantastic, and I am probably going to put it up here somewhere because it was awesome. So anyway, hope you guys are all doing well. Tell me what you're reading, how your month is going. Are you doing Victober, or are you just reading spooky books, which seems to be what this last week was for me. We'll see if I can get back into the Victorian mood. We will see how that goes. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.